Hi everybody, just a really quick video about DayZ on the PlayStation or the Xbox or the PC, and that's to answer the question: do you have to start afresh? Do you have to start anew every time you play DayZ? So I've been asked this question by a few people because they realise that it's permadeath. So if you die, you lose everything. But what happens when you want to pause your game when you haven't died? The answer is you simply quit and you take everything with you that you're carrying. So I'm a little bit embarrassed to show you what my character is at the moment. He's wearing a rather fetching police shirt, which is okay, but it doesn't really go with his camouflage trousers and his motorbike helmet and his pickaxe. But as you can see, with this character here, basically I played for about an hour. I got some basic loot, and then all you do is you quit. Your character sits down for 15 seconds, so you can't do it in the middle of a gunfight or being attacked by zombies. And then it takes everything with you that you've got, everything in your hands, everything in your backpack, everything in your trousers. And then when you go in again and you start playing again, and you basically, to start playing, you just simply pick a server to jump into. You then spawn in with that kit and you can go on and about your way. And as long as you don't die, you keep hold of that kit. Improving it and doing stuff like that. And that's why DayZ is so nerve-wracking sometimes, because you might have spent several hours building up this kit that you've got, and you might be really chuffed with it. And then when you're getting into gunfights, or getting attacked by monsters or different things, you really don't want to die. So, to answer the question, no, you don't have to start again every time you play from afresh. You spawn in with the stuff you had when you quit out last time. If you do die, you have to start afresh, and basically you end up spawning in on normally near a beach. And you have the basics. You have like something to eat, something to drink, a flare so you can see in the dark, and a stone axe and some rags just in case you start bleeding. Now, I'll tag this onto the end of the video as well. So then there's also the question about, okay, so that's the stuff you're carrying with you, but what about other things that you've left on and around the server where you are? So the way that DayZ works is when you're playing it on a particular server. So a computer in a rack somewhere in so not in Iraq, but on a rack somewhere in Australia or the Netherlands or the UK or America or Russia, and there'll be up to, at the moment, 60 other people playing on that server in that version of the game of Chernarus. And depending on whether it's a persistent on or a persistent off server, different things will happen. And so if it's a persistent on server, what that means is you can build bases, and that base will still be there when you come back to that server at a later date, as long as someone else hasn't destroyed it while you haven't there. You can bury backpacks. So for example, if you've got a backpack and you put some stuff in it, and you bury it somewhere and you remember where it is, if it's a persistence on server, if you then come back to that that location, you can dig that up, then that stuff will probably still be there. If you just leave stuff on the floor, I think it does disappear, because what happens is every couple of hours the servers reset, so they turn themselves off, you get kicked out, and they turn themselves back on again. And if it's a persistent on server, stuff that's been there before will kind of stay there depending what it is. Whereas if it's a persistent off server, the stuff will disappear, and loot will respawn in. Loot does respawn in on the persistent on servers as well, but as long as you, as I say, as long as you put things in, I think you put things in the drums, bury things, that sort of stuff, it will stay there ready for next time, probably. DayZ is well known for its glitches and its bugs, so don't be too heartbroken if you bury like an M4 in a backpack and then you go to that location and then it doesn't happen to be there anymore. I remember someone could have well found it and took it anyway. So there we go. Hopefully that answers your question. That may well encourage you if you were thinking about buying DayZ but thought, wait a minute, I can only ever play it for half an hour at a time. If I've got to start afresh all the time, I'm never going to get anywhere. No, don't worry about that. Oh, one thing I didn't mention as well is that when you quit and you come out and you come back to it, even if it's in a different server, you spawn back in the same place where you quit, as long as you didn't die. So if you go to the airfield and you quit there, when you spawn back in, you'll appear there, not back down on the coast. So don't worry about that. There we go. So anyway, that's enough from me. If you found the video useful, hit the thumbs up. If you want to see more of the same, press subscribe. If you've got any other questions about DayZ or any other games that I play, put them in the comments box down below. And remember, you can always support the channel through Patreon. And actually, what you get if you do support the channel through Patreon, from the link in the description box, what happens is I actually post my videos, most of them, early on Patreon, so you get to see them before everybody else does, about 3 days earlier. But anyway, that's enough from me. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again soon.